Hey, and welcome to Everything I Know About Feminism. I'm Amelia, and in 6 episodes, I aim to take you through what feminism is and why it's important today. If you're new to feminism and chose to listen and to educate yourself, or because of all the misinformation online, or very misleading TikTok rage bait, or because your girlfriend made you, I can assure you that I'll be your trusted source of information about the topic, and we'll be discussing a variety of topics across the whole series. Today I'll be focusing on breaking down feminism and dismantling some common misconceptions for you. Essentially, I'm going to radicalise you and brainwash you and villainise men as a species, is what the haters would say. Feminism seems to almost be a triggering topic of conversation nowadays, but really all it boils down to is a fight for equality. And I'm not going to radicalise you, of course. I'm just going to educate you, open your mind, and you choose to listen, you choose to not to listen. You can either apply this or you don't need to. I'm not forcing you into anything, but it's always good to be open-minded and consider other perspectives. So if you're listening and you don't identify really with feminism, then well done, I suppose, and I hope you enjoy. But I say that if you're a feminist, you're a humanist. I'm now going to introduce a guest host who I ask a few questions and have a short conversation with, to which you can either relate to or find informative or use as background noise as you watch TikTok. Either way, I hope you enjoy, and see you in 7 minutes where I go into more info about feminism. So, welcome, Holly, to the Feminist Podcast. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate your time. Well, not we, me. Well, we, yeah, the audience and me. We really appreciate your time. So, Holly is my housemate and dear friend. You're an osteopathy student, aren't you? Yep. Yeah, brilliant. And an avid feminist. Yes, you are. Thanks to me. Thanks to my influence. So, I'm going to ask you a few questions about feminism. Is that okay with you, Holly?
Yep, you have my consent.
Thank you so much. So, first question to you is, what does feminism mean to you?
So, to me, feminism, it basically just means equality. It's not about women being more superior.
Absolutely.
It's about rising through that gap.
Rising through the gap. Rising through the disparity between the genders.
Created by society.
Yes.
It's about raising children with no preconceived expectations.
Absolutely.
And what a boy or girl should be like.
That is beautiful.
No one should be discriminated against just due to their gender. It's not our identity.
Wow. I'm really proud of you. That came out really good. Really good. Yeah. I'm very proud. That was actually really good.
That was actually really
I completely agree with everything you said, and
it always does that.
oh,
It's just the ghost of it.
it's just the ghost. We have ghosts in our student house.
Some men I've killed.
I absolutely agree with you, and yeah, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. I think it's sad that feminism doesn't mean that to everyone. Some people shit on feminism and say it's a man-hating theory, but that's not what it is it?
Ignorant people.
Ignorant people, that's
Ignorant
why.
men.
Exactly, mostly ignorant men, unfortunately. So we need to educate people with this podcast. So my next question to you is, what's one practical thing listeners could do to support gender equality?
Well, now you said that, I've actually got a few.
Oh, wow.
I've been thinking about this a lot.
Brilliant.
So the first one, we actually do this in our uni house, as you're probably aware.
Yeah,
because
we live together.
There's no assigned roles for both the men and the women. We all do the dishes. We all take out the bins.
Yes, we do.
And
I don't, but the rest of you do.
Most of us take out the bins.
Also, I don't do the dishes.
But see, it's equal. You
Yeah.
don't do the dishes or the bins. So it's not dependent on your gender.
Yeah.
Another thing is to stop using phrases like man up and man of the house.
Yeah,
Because
I agree with that.
that
one.
just creates a more disparity between the genders.
It does.
And promotes men as more superior compared to women.
Absolutely.
And stop mansplaining. I hate mansplaining.
Yeah,
that's
mansplaining.
Just that done.
Just don't do it. I think women sometimes do it as well, actually, but
it's
it's called mansplaining for a reason. Men do it. Anyway.
Yeah, just like the idea that you don't already know what they're talking about, especially when it's something very simple.
Especially when I get housemates explaining how to do the bins to me. Like, I do know how to do it, I just don't want to do it.
You just don't want to do it. It's not because you don't know. It's because you don't want to.
Want to, exactly. Yeah.
And also just, like, terms such as, like, love, bird, sweetheart, darling. If you don't know the guy, it is so patronising.
It's very patronising. And especially bird, I think that's very dehumanising.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have any words for men that we use as girls that dehumanising. There's guys, boys, lads, like, that's all... You know, like, we're not calling them something different, like, bird.
Exactly. And also, if you're sleeping with a bird, that's just bestiality.
And that's bad.
So, you know, it's just not right.
Definitely. I also think, for all the students listening, I urge you to have open conversations with your housemates if it's a mixed house with girls and guys, because I think it's really important to encourage men to talk more openly about their feelings. I think that's probably a really good way to dismantle those kind of different stereotypes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that is something that we do in the house, and it's working. So definitely, I think everybody should do that. So last question for you. What is the most ridiculous stereotype you've heard about feminism?
There's a lot.
There is a
But
lot.
I think a big one is that women are, like, psychotic just because we express our emotions.
Yeah. Hysterical women.
Yeah, women are naggy when actually that's just us expressing that we're concerned about something or that we're aggravated. Whereas men take it as a attack towards them,
or being over dramatic or something.
Or that my psycho ex is such a common, you know, phrase to use when it's just a girl who was hurt and it's just expressing how they feel.
Exactly. I hate hearing, like, phrases like feminazi and things like that, because it's kind of like feminism has brought us such a long way. Like, we used to not be able to have bank accounts, we couldn't vote, we couldn't even have a job or an education, and we got so far all because of feminism. So we owe so much to feminism.
I mean, yeah, just the fact that we can sit here today.
The fact we're alive today.
Just sat here though openly in education.
Yeah.
Doing your podcast, that's because of feminism.
Exactly.
No feminazis were involved in this process.
Feminazi is not a thing. It's not.
No.
Other than maybe the women that openly hate men with a passion. We don't advocate that. We want everybody to be equal. But sometimes it is hard because they disappoint us a lot.
Yeah, it's hard not to get annoyed at the... It's like...
Yes.
Education is the best way. We shouldn't, like, attack guys because it is. It's just... how they feel. It's just their expectations that have been ingrained from society. Mm-hmm. But we need to educate them to relieve these.
Exactly.
And another one, freaking that. So women are so consumed about how they look, and they dress to appeal to men. I hate that. Especially
shut up.
in the gym, and it's like, oh, well, they wear shorts to like
and
show off
bras.
and like appeal to men. No, it's because we're hot, we're sweaty, and we're a human. Why are you wearing shorts?
Yes, Holly can speak as a gym girl. This is a big one, isn't it? Like, it is. I can't say much.
Stop the expectation. We're trying to look good for ourselves. We don't want to look good for you.
Exactly. Not everything revolves around men in the sense that women don't do everything to please men. So, yes. Exactly. Very good point. Thank you very much for coming on, Holly. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Like, I've come such a long, far way to be here.
You've come all the way from... Well, you didn't go anywhere. I came upstairs to see you.
Yeah, you didn't bark this time.
I also didn't knock. You could have been weeing. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what? It could be doing anything, but God. I'm doing this.
Exactly.
Right here.
I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, and let me know what else you'd like to hear. Feminism seems to be such a contentious topic of conversation nowadays. even more so in the past, of course, but after all the efforts of the suffragettes and various other women who fought for the rights that women have today, I don't understand why it's still deemed controversial. Personally, to me, it's very simple. Equal human rights are important and certainly neglected today, unfortunately, in our society. Holly discussed what feminism means to her in our interview, and before I get into facts, I'd like to tell you, as a woman, like many others, oppressed by the patriarchy, what it means to me. Feminism is not about the superiority of women, unfortunately. I'm not entirely opposed to the matriarchy, but it's not. As Holly previously mentioned, for me, feminism isn't about hating men either. It's about creating a world where everyone, regardless of gender, can fully realise their potential. It's about challenging the invisible barriers that restrict people's choices and opportunities. I'd like to open your eyes to the fact that it's not meant to be men versus women. We should be teaming up to fight against systems in place affecting all of us. The patriarchy, after all, impacts men just as it does women, mostly through the perpetuation of gender stereotypes. I had many questions when I first started looking into feminism myself, before I could really call myself a feminist. And it was really difficult finding anything with so much hate online, and all the misinformation and rage bait, as they call it. Especially this epidemic of red pill content and black pill contents, absolutely manic. And social media at the moment, I think, particularly TikTok, is very polarizing, but we'll get into that in a different episode. The main 3 points that I noted down that I think are most important to consider are that the feminism's core, it's fundamentally about equality. Like I mentioned before, it's not about the superiority of women. It seeks to dismantle systems that unfairly disadvantage women and other marginalised genders. This includes challenging harmful gender roles that limit both men and women. And feminists fundamentally believe that society is patriarchal, which means it's dominated by men. So to be a feminist, that's sort of the thing you have to believe. And there's plenty of evidence that I'll get into about how specifically society is patriarchal. But men also benefit from feminism is another key point that I'd like to highlight. Many men benefit from feminist principles. The big example is the way that feminism challenges and tackles rigid masculinity, which sort of allows men to express a wider range of emotions and pursue diverse interests without any societal pressure. And I've seen real-life examples where men have become more open, vocal about their feelings, and pursued certain things that I think previously there would have been a time where they wouldn't have. So there's certainly some progression, but still a lot of work to be done. Now, the most important takeaway that I'd like to highlight here for everybody is that the focus of feminism is on the systems, not the individuals, which is such an important factor to consider, especially with this whole argument online, specifically with men responding to feminism and women sharing their experiences with men responding to that with, well, not all men. It's just not the response that you should be giving, and women are speaking sort of about their experiences because this issue is systemic. We are not attacking men as a group, which is so important to remember. Feminism primarily critiques systems of power, aka the patriarchy, that create and maintain inequality. It's not an attack on individual men. And this is such an important point to remember, because this is such a big thing polarizing people nowadays. And like I said, it's not men versus women. Another thing to mention is that often people question why feminism is called feminism rather than humanism. They don't understand how it's feminism if it concerns equal rights. Now, that would be because feminism specifically addresses the unique and systemic inequalities faced by women. Women are the oppressed group here. And if you've unfortunately gained your understanding of feminism from an alpha male TikToker who films himself in supercars outside rental properties explaining why women peak at 22 while they're still living in their mum's spare room, you should probably keep listening. I want to keep takeaway today to be that feminism emerged as a response to the specific and pervasive oppression of women throughout history. Women were denied basic rights such as voting, property ownership, and equal opportunities in education and employment. The term feminism was coined to name and address the specific injustices. I'd also like to add that feminism, I think, really encapsulates all that's needed. It's a fight which aims to make life better for all, and as opposed to common misconception, it is not in any way fundamentally against men as a whole. I just really want to reiterate that. So it is concerning that feminism has been so misconstrued and portrayed as hostile almost, and radical and man-hating. There's a lot of negative discourse around it, especially with the media. And some men have taken it upon themselves to start men's rights movements. And if we were all better educated on the subject matter and didn't mislead each other online, we would better comprehend how feminism does encompass men's rights just as it does women's. But due to the vast systemic oppression that women face, it's a much more prevalent and talked about issue. So I would like to finish up and say that I hope you found this enjoyable and informative and maybe even inspiring. The next episode will be delving into some very interesting topics. Now that you have the basic information and understanding, we'll be discussing the impacts of Trump's presidency on feminist progression in society later in the podcast in another episode, but also looking at topics such as red pill content, reproductive rights of women, and others, which are all very crucial topics to understand, and all very relevant today with everything that's going on in the world and in our society. Of course, each episode will include a wonderful guest host with whom I'll be working closely with to help listeners have a well-rounded understanding of feminism and its importance and be one step closer to dismantling the patriarchy. I hope I didn't radicalise you too much this episode. Thank you for listening to everything I know about feminism, and I hope you'll be tuning in again soon. Good day, my little patriarchy warriors.